Hello again. All right, polynomial. So it's going to boil down to either one of these three types of questions. So I'm just going to go through them all real quick for you so you can kind of see. And then if you want to get practice on it, if you just do a Google search on polynomials, you'll see a bunch of questions like this and you can practice if you want. Before I start, my daughter wanted to make sure you saw the sticker that she picked out for you when I told her what I was making this video for. So, okay, polynomials. Big thing is remember that you can only combine like terms when you are adding and subtracting. So in this first problem, we have two polynomials that they want you to add together. And so the cool thing about adding is you're just going to look for the like terms and then put them together. So like terms, remember if it has an x squared and an x squared, those are like terms. If it has an x squared and an x, those are not the same. The exponents have to match. So in this one, I have 2x squared, and then the like term is 3x squared. When you're adding, you just add the coefficients, and the exponents stay the same. So it's like saying I have 2 apples and 3 apples. It would be 5 apples. Here, instead of apples, I just have x squared. So this one is going to be 5x squared. And then my next set of like terms, I have negative 2x. You take the sign of it with it. So think of this as a negative 2. And then I have a positive 4. When you're adding negatives and positives, I know you remember this from 8th grade. We worked with this a lot. Use that number line. So if you're at negative 2 and you're adding 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? This would be negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. So this would be negative 2 plus 4 is positive 2x. And then my last like terms are the constants, 3 and negative 2. If I'm doing 3 plus negative 2, that's the same as 3 minus 2, which is 1. So then this would be my answer, 5x squared plus 2x plus 1. And so that's adding. Subtracting is the same thing. You're still combining like terms. The only thing you have to remember is that if you have a subtraction sign and then parentheses, you have to distribute that subtraction to everything over here. So what I usually tell people is just to rewrite it so you don't get confused. So this first part stays the same, but this is now a negative 3x squared, a negative 4x, and then because this was already negative, it becomes positive because two negatives make a positive. And now you just do the same thing we did in the last problem. You combine like terms. So 2x squared and negative 3x squared would be negative 1x squared. That's the same as negative x squared. You don't have to write the 1. Negative 2x and negative 4x is going to be negative 6x. Again, you can use that number line if you need to. And then 3 plus 2, 3 and positive 2 is 5. And so that would be your final answer there. And then for the last one, it's multiplying. I'm trying to remember how I taught you guys this. I don't remember if I used the box method, but I think that I did. So if you want to set this up using the box method, just a quick reminder of what that would look like would be 2x squared would go here, the 3 would go here, 4x would go here, the negative 2 would go here, and then you would multiply to get the area of each of these and then add them up. So if I did that, 4x times 2x squared would be 8x to the third power, because when you multiply, you add your exponents. 4x times 3 would be 12x in this box. 2x squared times negative 2 would be negative 4x squared. And then negative 2 times 3 would be negative 6. And then you just take these 4 parts and you add them up. If you had any like terms, you would add them, but in this one I don't. So then my final answer is just 8x to the third power plus 12x. I have a negative 4x squared and then a negative 6. And the order doesn't matter. You'll just, because it's multiple choice, you'll just look for which one has all 4 parts in it as your answer. The other way you could think about this is using FOIL. So if you multiply the first pieces, the outer pieces, the inner pieces, and the last, that's FOIL. And so it's doing the same thing. You'd get the same exact answer. It's just some people use this diagram instead of this one to help you. Okay, So those are the three operations you are most likely to see. In a worst case scenario, they may give you a division problem. So let's say that they give you 2x squared plus 3 divided by 4x minus 2. Trying to actually divide this is really complicated, and I can't teach it to you in a quick video. But what I want you to remember is that division is connected to multiplication. So there's going to be 4 answer choices, right? So let's say answer choice A is 2x plus 2. In this situation, if they're asking you to divide, the easiest way to get the answer is to multiply the answer choices. So if they're saying that this divided by this gives you this, then you know that this times this has to give you this answer, right? So then the way I would want you to do this one is if they give you a division problem, you would actually just multiply the answer choices. So you would do whatever's at the bottom, the 4x minus 2. You would do that times whatever the answer choice is, 2x plus 2. So you would do that using the method that we talked about up here. You would multiply those together, and then whichever answer choice gives you this as your answer is the correct answer. So don't worry about trying to divide, just multiply the answer choices to see whichever one gives you the numerator. Okay? For the most part, that should be all that you see about polynomials, just combining those like terms. The only other thing they might talk about is just some definitions. So a monomial is when you just have one term. A binomial is when you have 2 terms. A trinomial or a polynomial would be when it expands from there. All right, so that would be a polynomial. But that should pretty much cover what they'll test you on polynomials, I would think. Okay, let me know if you have questions.